Hi everyone, welcome to North Star Knife Reviews. Today we're looking at an interesting little knife that I recently got from eBay. This is a melon tester. You can also see it was an advertising knife. And it was made by Krusius Cutlery out of Germany. Now, before we take a closer look at this knife, let's talk a little bit about melon testers and about Krusius Cutlery. Krusius was I would call it probably a mid-level knife maker out of Germany. They started in the 1800s and were in business until 1983 when they sold off all their stock and the factory. I'm guessing that this one was made in the early to mid 70s. I may be wrong on that, but that is my best guess at this. Let's talk briefly about the melon tester. Okay, as I said, this is a Krusius melon tester, and melon testers were very common in the 1930s, but they trace their history back farther than that. But they were made to cut fruit, and this is actually a fairly short melon tester. This would be at the short end with only a 3.5-inch blade. You can easily get melon testers that are 5.5 inches, because the point was you could get down all the way into the center of a large fruit like a melon. Now, melon testers can trace their history back to the 1700s in England and the fruit knives that were in use at the time. Now, those fruit knives were a bit different. They certainly had a different makeup. They used silver blades rather than steel, and they often had mother of pearl handles. Now you might wonder why they would use silver rather than steel. I mean, silver is a softer metal. It's not going to hold an edge as well. It's not going to cut as well, and it's certainly going to be more expensive. So why would you use silver in a knife? Well, silver had one advantage over steel. Remember, in the 1700s, they have no such thing as stainless steel. All right? You're using this blade over and over and over in an acidic environment because you're cutting fruits with it. And even fruits that we don't think of as tart can have a fair amount of acid to them. And so the knife blades, if they were made of steel, would corrode quite quickly. Silver doesn't react with those acids, and so it doesn't corrode, and it would last substantially longer. The mother of pearl handles similarly didn't react with the acids, and so they were a common touch. And as well as, since silver was expensive anyway, mother of pearl handles sort of fit the bill with that. Now, this particular knife comes from J.H. Tyner & Son in Haines City, Florida. Now, as I said, this is a fairly small melon tester. I've got a couple others in there substantially longer than this. But I did a little research. J.H. Tyner & Company was a citrus company out of Haines City, Florida. And so if they're a citrus company, most likely the largest fruits that they'll be regularly dealing with are grapefruits or perhaps pomelos. So you don't need as long a blade. And this would certainly be long enough to cut up something like a grapefruit. All right, well, now that we've done our history lessons for the day, let's take a look at this knife. You have on here nickel silver bolsters, a cracked ice pair of covers. You've got a swell center here. Sort of reminds me actually of a tuxedo knife. When I first came across this listing, and I just saw the picture, I thought it was a tuxedo knife initially. A tuxedo knife would swell at both sides rather than just one and then come back, but it would be a narrow knife like this. Now, the fit and finish on this is okay, not the best in the world. You can see there's some gapping, a little ridge. Now, again, this is an old knife. This is probably a good 40 or 45 years old, so we'd have to cut a little slack, but you can see there are some fit and finish issues. You have the back spring with the brass liners. You can see closed length 4.5 inches. See the pins. The main blade on this, we already looked at this briefly, but it is about 3 and a little over 3.5 inches. Cutting edge right at about 3 1/4. So this is the main blade. And if you can see on here, it's a little bit difficult. Let me try to get it. There you go. It says Krusius, Germany. The other side, no stain. So this is a stainless blade. I'm not sure exactly what the steel on this is, but I would guess something like maybe a 440A or something of that nature, maybe a 420 HC, something like that. The secondary blade, this is sort of interesting. Usually fruit knives can have 1 or 2 blades, but the secondary blade would often be a serrated blade. But here you have something a little smaller, more in line with a small EDC. Secondary blade, just about 2 1/4 inches long, with a cutting edge right at 2 inches. Okay. Again, you can see it says Krusius, Germany, and no stain. Now, the secondary blade does look like it has had some use. There are some scratches that look like it's been used to cut some things. And here, you can just do a snap. Quite good snap on these. Not a strong pull, maybe a 3 to a 4. The larger blade, however, does not look like it's ever been used. I was able to pick this up for $8. My guess is that I was able to get it so inexpensively because it's an advertising knife. I'm gonna listen to the snap on this. Nice. Because the Krusius knives generally seem to run in the $20 to $50 range. But again, because this was an advertising knife, which is fine with me, I think it adds an additional layer of history to it. But I was able to get it for $8, and I'm quite happy to have it in the collection. I hope you found this look at this J.H. Tyner branded Krusius fruit knife, or excuse me, melon tester interesting. Please subscribe. If you like this, give me a thumbs up. Thanks a lot for watching. I will catch you next time.